Hello friends, my name is Anirudh Gupta and in this video we will discuss how we can create automation using Blazor and Tempormonkey. Tempormonkey is a kind of extension that we are using for do the manipulation on the HTML page using JavaScript, and Blazor is a application framework that is provided by Microsoft, and we can do the both two kind of implementation there. The first implementation is called Blazor server app, that is a kind of SS that is related similar to SSR. What happen in Blazor server? The code is executed on the server and presented to the UI using Signaler technology. So that first thing is called Blazor server app, and second thing is called Blazor WebAssembly. The good thing about Blazor WebAssembly is it's work like a front-end framework, but it is using the backend technology. That means that suppose your team is designed something that is in front end things like HTML, CSS, of course, but you don't want to use some kind of framework that is written like in JavaScript, like React, Angular, Servlet, and Vue, and you don't want to spend time every time to moving from one framework to other. It's not hard. It's not easy, even easy, but I see a lot of people who prefer backend technology working with C Sharp rather than JavaScript. So Blazor assembly, what happened in Blazor assembly? When you create a project, it's just a work like a framework. The thing, the difference is, suppose you make a calls using in if you write code in C Sharp, like in Angular, what happen? You write your code in JavaScript. This is the difference. Blazor mostly in Blazor we use the C Sharp language, and in front end we are using the Angular language. These are the few things that is different from architecture wise. This is the difference, and both did the same. Angular also generate the files in the dist folder give you as output. Blazor also did the same. Blazor also give you the output in www root folder, and you put something, you put it on your storage, like a storage, like you can also put it in S3 server. You can put it in on your other web static app. So these are the two difference between Blazor server app in Blazor assembly. Blazor WebAssembly is React work like a Angular framework, front-end framework like Angular React, and Blazor Server App is framework work like a Angular SSR. The good thing about is Blazor versus Server App is it's use the C sharp behind the scene. So these are the two different things. I recently look at Blazor for automation. If Blazor can help us to do the automation, so what I want to do, I just want to grab the data from the app. S- If I think to use that endpoint in Angular app, it is not possible because that endpoint will not allow the our application to be called. Like I can't call the that endpoint from my web app from the browser because that will not allow because due to the CQRS policy, cross-site scripting, cross origin script issue. In Blazor server app, what happen? I when I do this thing kind of thing, it happen on the server, so it will not it will not fail the Blazor server. This request will work because it is not called from the browser, it is called from the server. So wherever I call, I can easily call without taking care of CQRS. So there is the cross-site issue. So one benefit of this is cross-site issue. This thing is applicable to Blazor server app. You can't do this on the WebAssembly because WebAssembly is just to hosted on the client side, and second is Blazor WebAssembly. So both have their own pros and cons. The Blazor WebAssembly has is a front-end kind of framework. That means that you can use progressive web app kind of mechanism here. You can make it offline installable application. Suppose your application, like suppose you are working on application where data is very crucial. Like you are giving someone, you are giving your customer your ticket. It might be a train ticket or those kind of thing. And suppose suddenly he was in train where data, where that network will not work, then it is a good idea to make it offline store level app. So wherever he can go, he can, he can, he doesn't need even need to save the data. I mean store the application. He can just open the website anytime and it will work because he have offline installable app kind. So this thing, offline storage is a very good thing when this kind of thing, the data is very crucial. So, and this can't be happen on Blazor server app. These are the few things when you remember, when you work, you need to remember when you're working on both kind of application. And I mostly use the tested the code with Blazor server app and Blazor WebAssembly. I do not try the most. I try very very less. So I mostly will share. We will discuss the Blazor server app kind of thing. So let's forget the Blazor WebAssembly for now. In Blazor server app, what is the good thing? I am using my own PC to host the application. I mean, suppose if I'm running my application using my Visual Studio, I can debug the thing like I used to do with C Sharp code. Since it's C Sharp code, I suppose front end and back end both using same thing, and they don't need to rely on the language, third language. Like in Angular, what happened? The Angular code is written in TypeScript, and C Sharp code written in backend code is written in C Sharp. Both are very different thing. You can't just copy paste your code from front end to backend or backend to front end. That will not. That is not the way it will work. But in Blazor Server app, this thing can be not be the issue, especially in Blazor Server app because Blazor Server app is also just rendering things on the server. So you have access to the database, which will not have work in the case of Visual Assembly because that is just a front end part. You can't have access to anything that is l- linked to the machine, like suppose database access, file IO, or some kind of calls you are making to the operating system. Like in my case, what happened? I make a call to the APIs, bring the data, and data is saved into the database. Now, what I want to do, I just want to open the page. I have the idea. I want to open the page in the your browser to test and just tick that thing in the database that it is checked. So it will not appear again in the loop. So I'm able to call the API, get the data since there is no CQRS kind of thing, and I'm able to call the save it to database because this will not have any issue because this is I'm doing all the things on server. It's just showing the thing, the UI thing on the to the user. And so there is when I try to open the page browser into the browser, what happen? I have two options. Either I can use some kind of calls to the operating system, like in C Sharp we have in C Sharp we have system dot diagnostic dot process dot start. There is a way to open a pass a URL to this method, and this will be open in the default browser. But you can't close the windows through the JavaScript code. Like what I try to do when I do the automation, I open this thing using this kind of C Sharp method and trying to close using the Tempormonkey script, like window.close. And this is not working because it's giving error, some kind of error like you can't close the window that you have not opened. So the issue is if you suppose if some kind of code is happened from like suppose for example suppose if I'm using this kind of thing to open the page, I will not be able to close it using Tempormonkey script. For this thing I do have one solution. What you can do, you can just write a method, function method in JavaScript, like window.open, use by some, you have some parameter on it. And what you can do, you can just call it from the Blazor. Blazor allow you to call the func method that is written in JavaScript. Blazor can be Blazor can also expose the C# method to be called from the JavaScript. Like for understanding purpose, Blazor code can call the JavaScript method inside in the HTML page, and Blazor method can be called from JavaScript as well. So this is like you can call us, we will call you kind of thing. The good thing is if so, I try this thing in my automation. I try to open multiple page at the same time. I be able to open the three page. I reported this thing to the GitHub and I did not get any sufficient answer. So I think there might be a lot of limitation because this thing is newly developed and we can't rely on this thing. So feel personally feel that I should go with this thing, or you can use whatever is working for you. There is no hardly uh, believing in the one thing. Whatever working for you is the best thing. So this is one way to open to do some kind of like I want to open the page, and now you will be thinking how I will be modifying the pages that I did not open and that is not part of my application. Suppose my application is hosted on abc.com. Now I am manipulating the xyz.com. That is my own website, but I did not do any kind of I do not have set up any kind of thing that might be my prod server, that might be my SIT server, and just edit the application that I but I never want to modify anything on that. So how we can do, since it is a HTML application, this is our HTML application. It might be a ASP.MAC, whatever you can call it, Spring Boot, whatever you have written. I'm just showing you since so you can understand what I'm trying to do and by what I'm trying to explain. And this is our Blazor application. Now remember that this thing will not have any control on this. We are just calling them for getting the data and we are saving into our database and taking into our database like this is checked or not. But we don't doing any kind of manipulation here. So how I will be manipulating the xyz.com further? First of all, Blazor is not be used to that. We need to rely on some kind of manipulation extension on in Chrome. So there is one thing in Firefox earlier that is called Grease Monkey. I do not know if that is also exists now. And there is other thing that I use most that is called Tempormonkey. Tempormonkey allow you to manipulate the page. Suppose you have a website and what you want to do. Suppose I have a xyz.com where I want to. Suppose I have a xyz.com and there is a page where I want to grab the IDs and I want to open one by one. Yeah, I show it this way. I show you till now. I have explained you how this thing will work, and you have checked those things. And now, what I want to do, I want to have some data. For this, I can call my API from here. Now, you will be thinking how this thing can work. So, when I am saying that this cannot be modified because this is on by someone else, but you on your application, your automation. And since you're on your automation, you can allow your code to be called by this one. Now, since this application is not will not call you, then how it will be? This code will call this application will call your own code. So I will can give you some scenario how you can do this. Suppose you open a website and there are some extensions show you. Like suppose you open a Amazon.com and Amazon.com, if you have open using it, you have recently seen a feature that is showing you the coupon code for the order. This is working in India as well. I sometimes think how they will be doing this, but a browser can do call the other APIs and show you like this is the thing. In earlier days, like 4 5 year ago, there are two extensions that use it for doing this kind of operation. So Xiaomi, that is called Apple of China, have introduced their phone in India in 2014, and they have limited sale. Like their product come to the sale on 2 p.m. and by 1 second, all got sold. So people use of buy hatke and there is another extension. There is one extension called buy hatke. I think compare. I forget the name. Both extensions are used to make many get the data related to the product. They also show you that this product is get money dropped in birthday. Like suppose there is a product. Suppose there is a product called sold on the 100 rupees every day, but someday they make it to the 85, 49, even the 10, 20 rupees. They can give you the chart, and using those chart, uh, yeah, even using those chart you can easily make the choice like this product is not have stable price, you should wait or you should, so this kind of thing happen. So this kind of extension allow what they do, they just call their own research data and figure give you the detail. Do same thing happen used by Edge also did the same. So you can also do the same, but remember that Chrome is a browser, and browser does not allow you to have code written in C sharp. Like you can't, but you can do things like suppose you have a some kind of business logic. Suppose your application want to uh, know like if what I do this, will this work or not? You can write your code in C sharp. Or what I can suggest you, you can just if this is I'm not sure. But if this that thing does not work for you, what you can do, you can create a new API, one more project, and in that you expose the endpoint, allow them to call byxyz.com, and using extension, you can pretty much call have the access to both layer. So suppose if I write a temper monkey script for xyz.com slash, like suppose they have a product page and ABC. I'm just showing you one scenario to how you can do the automation. Now what you can do, you can create endpoint in your Blazor server app. You can create endpoint in your web page, wherever you call want to do, and simply call them from the this website using Tempermonkey because you don't have access to the this thing we discussed earlier in the video. So I can call my methods from the Blazor. Sorry, I can call my method from this page. So when I talk about this thing, Tempermonkey allow you to manipulate those pages. Suppose that they can read wool page. I'm not sure they have access to the cookie, but I believe they can control many things easily. They can read your wool page. They can manipulate wool. They can manipulate. They can when I talk when I use word they, I just mean to the temper monkey. So let's see write in temper monkey here. Temper monkey can read bool page. Temper monkey can manipulate, and they can also call your own backend. So this means suppose I use the Selenium, then what I will do in Selenium, what we use the code in Java, C Sharp, Python, and other language. I written one Selenium with my team in one of my last previous job, and we have a team of almost 40 50 developer. We all are freed on a time, and so we decided. what we should do? I suggest them to go with Selenium because Selenium is a thing. It can help you to written in Python, C Sharp, Java. Sorry, I'm not sure if it will happen with C Sharp, work with JavaScript, but it is work with Java. So they are, so I see that both of them are on the team in are using Java, Python, those kind of thing. So they all are all contribute because Selenium is not logged to the C Sharp or any specific language, and this is not also logged to the any specific browser. Suppose what happened to old legacy applications, some of simply say that it will only work on Internet Explorer 7, Firefox 9, something like that. And this happened a lot in the past. If you open any Indian government website, you will see that it will only work best with the IE9. Thanks to Microsoft, they finally killed the IE9, IE11. So this kind of thing happen, and Selenium allow you to have those things, allow you to write your code in anything, any language, any for any browser, and it will work. Since our team are using, so what they do, the function method are the almost same in all the language. Like suppose if suppose I am a C# developer and I just read the code from someone who are in Python or in Java, and they are suppose they are minority in the team. Like suppose there is one Python developer and we are five six C# developer. What I can do, I can just read their code and just to write them, or I can just find a place, and it will work. Because what in the end what we do, we are just using that XPath, those kind of thing, using some kind of selector, like using classes ID, manipulating those things, submitting, waiting, that those kind of thing. Same thing can be written in C sharp. And I'm not sure if there is a tool to convert those things, but you can pretty much easily read, you can convert. There is no very hard thing. So say in Selenium, what we do, we use C sharp to manipulate. Like suppose I want to submit a form. How I will do it in Selenium, I will be manipulate using C sharp. I will be submitting using C sharp, and I will be verifying or waiting using C sharp. Mission accomplished. So this is how it will work in Selenium. But we are talking about Blazor in this video. How we can implement those things in in Blazor? Don't we talk about Blazor? We started with Blazor. Yes, we started with Blazor. So how we will manipulate in our approach? We will be manipulating using Tempormonkey. Why? Because we don't have access to the example website like xyz.com HTML application, because Blazor is a render in our domain, and that is there the application that we are automating are render somewhere else. So what we are using, we will using a bridge called Tempormonkey. This is an extension you can find on your Chrome extension, Chrome Web Store, or Firefox extension manager. So we can manipulate using, and since we are able to manipulate, we can also get all the details. Like suppose there is a thing called jQuery stringify. Suppose there is no jQuery is on the page. The application is written in the Angular or React or some advanced framework. Now what I can do? I can simply don't rely on any kind of thing that is provided by Angular, because Angular is just have given me the bootstrapped code that they have exec so you can't expect it things to be anything from the website. You can just insert and inject the JavaScript. It's it's good that you can inject. Like what happened in some application, you can't inject even the even any JavaScript code. There is a strict there is a lot of website where you can see this thing. You can't inject any JavaScript that you put. But in most of site you can do. What you can do, you can just write a document string script. You can write a script tag using JavaScript. Put a source, and sources will be coming from the your place. I mean, you can use CDN, or you can find if jQuery is very popular, you can find it on the sy.com as well. If, otherwise, what we need to do, even jQuery is not working, we can still do. Let me tell you how. We can use document.query.selector and query selector all. So suppose mostly what people do, they are using jQuery for selecting, and jQuery provide a very good mechanism to select the things. And people like jQuery for that thing. And we are not using animation and those kind of fancy thing. We just want to grab the data. So you can do pretty much in using the JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, and you need to figure out if this thing hard. You can figure out in JavaScript. There is not very much things hard thing. So we will be using submitting using C sharp, sorry, JavaScript. Again, it will be happen using Tempermonkey. Verifying or betting will be can be done using Tempermonkey as well, because you will be calling on endpoint. Now you have full control. You need to, there is no relying on anybody else, because this automation was yours. You can have full control. You can call the data. You can also write the code when it is failing. You can also figure out the things happen. So suppose I want to write automation to check if these things are working or not. What I can do? I can write a Blazor application that calls the xyz.com. xyz.com might be exposing some endpoint if the application is very modern. Like in most of the applications written today, they are using AngularJet and they exposing the endpoint. And there are a lot of things that we can use to manipulate. Like extension can help you to give the tokens, those kind of thing. If this is your application, you can have much control. Even if it is not your application, you can do pretty much good thing using the Tempermonkey. And we will be verifying and waiting using C sharp. So I think I have covered the most of the thing using how we can achieve the automation using C sharp. So suppose let's talk further about the other things. Like somebody say how I want to move from Selenium to the uh, Tempermonkey. I mean Tempermonkey plus Blazor approach. Then what you need to understand? You need to understand that Selenium was using Selenium will allowing your backend developer to return the C Sharp, Python, those kind of thing. But now you need to totally rely on JavaScript when you're working on Tempermonkey. And this is not a big deal. Suppose there is a UI and you want to control the page using your JavaScript. This will not make any big trouble, because if you know C Sharp, you can work with the JavaScript easily. Even if you don't able to work, you can just step through your things. Like suppose you want to get the data from the HTML, get the data from HTML controls, those kind of things. And if you are a C Sharp developer, you can easily do that, even using the taking help from the online resources. So this thing will make, if you, I never seen a developer in my life who knows C Sharp but not know JavaScript, because in the end, if we are making any kind of application, we have used JavaScript somewhere in our life. So in Tempermonkey we use JavaScript, we do things using Tempermonkey in JavaScript. And we so now suppose if you want to make a report, like I did the automation up, and this is the real target, then how I can how we can uh, this approach will help us. So I see teams on that using different kind of software to do the automation. And I did not see those things as good unless they are written in C sharp, because what I see them, they are very complex and developer can't relate them. Like developer is working on some of their language like Java, like Java, C sharp, those kind of thing, and tester are totally different, using different tools. And now since they are using, so if we are using developing the automation, you need to make sure that you know both of the thing. And Blazor is using C sharp, and C sharp is very basic for very basic thing. So if you are doing this thing in C sharp, I mean Blazor, you need to understand very basic concept of C sharp, like how we can loop, we can do while loop, how we can call the method. If even if you don't know, you just figure out this thing out using auto physical flow, those kind of thing. And this way the developer know what kind of automation they write. So suppose they have some something that they can improve, they can also improve. And tester can also test this thing very well, because they are and developer both are working on the same tools. And JavaScript very basic, basic thing. Like suppose if you are manipulating a thing from your JavaScript code, you can, I think, project manager and everyone who have written code in the past, they can easily understand what we are doing. So things will be easier to fix. Like suppose these days what I see the teams using tools that developer don't understand. If, and they can't even touch those things, because that thing is very hard to understand by developer. So they, I don't think developer even look at those things. So in this approach that I make, I did not read it on internet. I did not even think this thing from take from any thoughts, take this from any other thoughts, like how they have done. Not, this thing is not mentioned by Microsoft even in their any developer approach. I in invented this concept myself, because I think this thing will work, because I have experience with Tempermonkey in past. I manipulated many pages. It helped me a lot. And I used Tempermonkey almost 6 years ago, and saved me a lot of time. And same for Blazor. Blazor I tried in my past, but I didn't have very good feeling, because when you post question on the ASP.NET Core portal, people don't tend to not to help you like they help you on Angular. Like Angular repository, you post a question or you give you a solution or a thing talking about a thing that does not work. They just help you or give you satisfactory answer. But this thing is not expected from the ASP.NET Core community, because this is Microsoft and you know how they make things. So Blazor is kind of this can be problem. And since we are talking about Blazor, if I don't think there will be any good alternative to Blazor unless you are written find some other WebAssembly code to do this thing. So our automation consists of two things. As I start first mentioned in my application, I mentioned Blazor Monkey, Temper Monkey to technology for use for automation, and I especially go with Blazor Server app because I have control with my, I have access to my database, I have access to my operating system call. So like I want to open the tab, those kind of thing. I call DPI, I save it to DB, I expose the endpoint that can be called from the Tempermonkey. So this is pretty much the idea that we can use in the future. If you like my idea, please like my please like the video and tell me in the comment how this thing, how what you think about my approach for doing the automation. This look very modern and fancy, but Since it's working for me, I believe it should be working for you as well. If you have any trouble, let me know. Thanks for watching video. Goodbye.